people on here. Well, I used to see them. I don't know where they went. Pretty sure I saw BNO's email, phone number on there somewhere. Welcome, everybody. Big Joel community call. We're doing these calls every other Monday right now, just so you know. Check if you've registered. By the way, just a little bit of housekeeping. If you've registered for the call, you never need to register again. So when you see any kind of promo, like say you saw, hey, Joel's going to be talking to James Allen this week, you don't need to register again if you've already registered. You should have a calendar invite in your calendar that just should keep going as long as you use your calendar. Those of you that are on here that are Joel people that have been through crush groups, I know you aggressively use your calendars, but it should be in there. If it's not, let us know, but feel free. You don't need to register again. I notice a bunch of you register each time, and it's fine because our system dedupes. I just wanted you to know that you don't have to register. For those of you new to the call, we do use the chat. Josh, there's something in there regarding registering from what I call Cuz of Laz. And he just put something in there regarding his invite. For those of you that couldn't see that, I don't know whether it was private or public. He said, can you please send me the invite again? So anyone that doesn't have the invite, you definitely should probably re-register. So these calls are every other Monday right now, unless you know beforehand. And you've noticed in the past couple of weeks, I've done the calls myself. That's because we got an overwhelming amount of feedback that said, Joel, we love it when you do the call yourself. Not that we don't love listening to great guests like the guests I have today, but I guess for some reason people love 23 minutes of a Joel rant on a Monday. Not sure why, but for some reason I think people must love that. The other little piece of housekeeping is you'll notice wherever you consume your podcasts, if you are a podcast person, again, thank you to Kevin Lechko for the idea. We are going back and have almost converted all of the Big Joel community calls, which are 2.5 years worth already, onto audio podcasts. So you could listen while you're working out or in your car or whatever. You don't need to worry about the video piece. These are live streamed on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. So you can always go consume it there. But again, you're watching the video as well. So I was on the phone with the loan officer early this morning. He consumes an Apple, went in Apple, put in the Big Joel Show, and everything was in there chronologically. So he could start listening if he wanted to. All right, everybody. Welcome. Last week was a big rant about getting off your butts and getting out there and actually doing some business and doing your job. This week, I'm sure we'll have a lot more of that. We've got none other than Jimmy A. Allen coming in hot from West Hartford, Connecticut. James and I have worked together for a little while. I think it might be 3 or maybe coming up on 4 years now, not sure. James is a purchase loan originator at his core, in his heart, and is crushing it right now with new applications and, of course, closings. He's very practical in the way he does his business, and I thought what we would do today is it would be nice to have another conversation with someone in the dirt doing it. Just a couple of observations before we start. I am hearing across the board, there's no place where I've heard negative to this, that there is definitely more inventory and more houses for people to buy. The best loan officers are taking market share right now because a lot of the borrowers are kind of cranky regarding what they think are high rates, which those of us that have been around for a while, Ed Brem, that have been around for a while, know these are not high rates. They're actually kind of low still. These are definitely not high comparatively. But the borrowers really need loan officers that know what they're doing. So a couple of quick trends, then I want to ask James a couple of questions. Number one, the agents that I coach and mentor across the country, I think some of them are on here today, they are moving their clients much quicker to their lender partner at like 100 miles an hour. So if they normally had a 20-minute schmoozing conversation up front, connecting and things like that, they are moving their people to their lender partner literally within a minute, because they know that with most buyers today, it's all about the numbers. It's not some easy thing where you go, oh, here's your 3% 30-year fixed, and maybe they're mad they got 3 and an ace instead of 3. They really need a lot of help with what I call pencil selling. A lot of agents would be much better served to let their lender partner do that immediately. They don't need to be in the middle of that. Great agents don't even care what the rate is. They just care if their client is happy. If their client's happy, then they can sell them a house. That's what they care about. Number 2 trend I want to throw out there. I think I saw Justin on here somewhere. He went away. Justin with Fairway, who I got to meet last week. I was up in Boston. He said, Joel, man, I listened to your call from a month ago, and I took that whole seller paying points to buy down the rate thing, and I went out and did a couple presentations and talked to my partners about it, and wow, did that go over well. So I want to make sure I cover that one more time. And that is, when I first started in the business, which was a long time ago, and you got a contract, the way the contracts were written is it didn't say seller pays $5,000 toward buyer's closing costs. It said seller pays 3 points or 2 points, or it was discount points because the rates were very high to incentivize and buy the rate down. Okay. Then, of course, very quickly it went to $5,000, $10,000, half the transfer, whatever it is. It was cash that we then as lenders would turn around and structure appropriately to get the people in the house with the least money possible, because most people paying points, we all thought it was kind of crazy back then, unless, of course, the seller was paying it for you. But the realtors, the agents, have taken very kindly to being able to keep sale prices where they need to be. And instead of dropping the sale price a little bit with a concession, keep it there and quote unquote offer to pay a point or two to buy the borrower's rate down. So we're seeing a lot of that. We can talk about that. We're also really starting to see lenders roll 2-1 buy downs again, which was a product I used extensively when I started. Say the 30-year fixed rate was 14%. You'd have 12, 13, 14. Back then with FHA, you could qualify at 12. Then they changed it to 13. Then they made it the note rate of 14. But still, that's not necessarily the problem in most markets. It's more sticker shock instead of qualification. So again, another nice product to use. I think, trying to think what lender it was. It might be Fairway. Someone was telling me that, they went from having one of those in the pipeline, and 2 weeks later, there was 182 of them in there. So the loan officers are really using it. Again, another big theme is take market share while all the other loan officers cry and complain like babies and go get jobs at, car dealerships. Everyone on this call should be taking market share. With that said, James Allen, currently with Movement Mortgage in West Hartford, Connecticut. This is a pure originator. James, let's start with what are your agent partners? What's the buzz where you are? What are their big concerns? Are they still frantic? Are they what? Tell me a little bit about the buzz from your agent partners, and then we'll get to the lending stuff.
Yeah, they're not frantic. Market's cooled like it has in most places. Inventory's up a little bit. We're getting a lot more contracts accepted a lot easier. We haven't changed really what we're doing in terms of strategy on getting offers accepted. So we're doing the same things we were doing when it was competitive. We're just winning it quicker now. And the buzz is, it's funny you talking about it. Of the contracts I have in today, more than 25% of them have seller buy down written right into the contract, and in a huge way, not like 1 point, 2 point, like 3 points, 4 points more on the actual contract. So that's real deal.
Yeah, and that is, and everyone take that away. Listen to that. You've been hearing me talk about this for I don't know. Some of you guys keep me honest, who's on every week, like Ed Brem. It might be 8 weeks. I don't know. I've been talking about this for a while. And I've been watching it and seeing it happen. And now you're hearing James, how many contracts for July you think you have? Just ballpark.
How many funded loans this month?
No, not funded, new contracts, just for July so far already.
I don't know, 30, 35.
Okay. So there's a big statement. He just said 25%. So he said out of 35, he's saying 8 to 9 of those contracts have a substantial seller contribution going toward, literally directly toward discount points, AKA buying the note rate down. So that's a pretty strong statement. And I think a lot of y'all, we're going to see more and more of this. James, what was the turning point in your market where they went from being very upset and really you having to console them to when you started to see them mellow out? Is it only been like a month up where you are?
Yeah, 4 or 5 weeks. Yep.
And are you seeing, the other trend I saw, James, I've been talking to agents, is they're calling it sort of COVID travel summer. And that doesn't mean because everyone has Omicron .97,000 or whatever, but because a lot of people that were going to travel in 2020 that were completely grounded didn't travel last year and waited, and like half the people are in London with their kids. There's a lot of people that went places, not beach week like you do and I do, that like left the country with their kids with those travel credits. Are you seeing more people back in the saddle, like more agents, they're back and ready to go?
Yeah, it's funny. We're still seeing a bunch of people on vacation, but of course that July 4th till like last week was like eerily quiet. And then all of a sudden on Friday, we got bombed out with a ton of activity. So yeah, vacations are a big part right now, but that's normal.
Okay, so back to the straight originating. So James, this call is, there might only be 20% of the people on this call that have been through a crush group, maybe 15. So they don't necessarily know all the terminology, and that's okay. But what are some core activities? I have agents telling me, James, that they're getting called 30 times a day by boneheads, literally saying the same thing. Hi, I'm James Allen with Movement Mortgage. I heard you're a really good agent. I'm wondering if you have time on Thursday at 3 p.m. Or Friday at 1 p.m. to meet me at Starbucks so I can simply tell you how great I am. Click. Literally, I don't know where these people are buying these scripts from. Who's ever selling them must be a millionaire or a trillionaire, because people are currently buying a lot of them. But are you hearing the same thing from your agent partners? Are they getting bombarded?
We don't really talk about that, and I don't cold call
Okay.
agents, so that's not even a topic. Like, it's not a thing I would ever do, and I would never even talk to them about if they would do that. We stay very personal all the time.
There you go. And they're not even bringing it up. And I will tell you, we have loan officers, James, that in rookie groups, some of them are on here, and we aggressively go to open houses in a very specific way, not the way most people on here think you do. We do it a little differently, and they're not running into anyone. So the loan officers have decided, well, I think maybe I need to make some phone calls in between my donut breaks, but they're clearly not getting out of their chair and going and getting it, as is probably seen. How many saves? Tell me about saves, market share, new relationships. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, we're taking in at a minimum 1 rescue deal per week. We've had certain weeks where we take in a rescue deal every day, 5 in a week. Contract went sideways, guy didn't know what they were doing, whatever the case, just a deal that we need to pick up the pieces, not moving fast enough. It could be anything. We're taking in a ton of rescue business.
And just to prove my point, what I've been saying for weeks regarding this, James Allen will probably be at lunch, dinner, or drinks with the agent that sent you the deal that you blew up, that he rescued, somewhere in the 10 to 14 day range, probably from closing, very aggressively. Like that will go to the top of his list. And then now you've got a James Allen in front of someone that you think is your partner, and now you have a big problem. And I'm sure you're seeing that, right, James? I mean, that is exactly the way it's going, correct?
Yeah, you pick up. Yeah, if you can save a deal like that, I mean, whenever you save a deal, you always have the opportunity to say to the person on the other side, "Hey, I'm doing this for you. I'd like you to give me one more shot on a deal where I'm not running like a crazy person. Let me show you what we're capable of." And 99% of the time, those people will honor that request.
And he's leaving out one more thing. He's also going to throw a B2B in there. So he's going to go find the person. And you may have tried to do that over the phone before and failed. He's just leaving that piece out because it's not just a phone thing. You got to get in front of them, especially if they have a relationship with someone else, to really, really, really take them down. James, talk to me. What would you tell some people? They're on this call. They had a great year last year. They bought the new Corvette, 2 second homes and investment property. They now are an official Airbnb expert. They made triple the amount of money they've ever made in their lives. They went back. And by the way, everyone, if you want to cross-check yourself right now, take your purchase units from 2021, January 1 through the end of June, and then look at your purchase units 2022, January 1 through the end of June. If you are no more than 10% down, you're killing it. There are people on this call that are over. They're over. You notice how I didn't say the word refi, because I don't care and they're gone, okay? Nobody cares. The only thing we can control is our purchase business right now. And the reality of it is if you're the same, maybe down 10% or up, you are killing it. James, there are people on this call that are down 80%. I mean, literally, they are completely freaking out right now. What are some, not necessarily quick, maybe it's mindset, because you really got to dig in. I mean, it's dig in time as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I mean, Joel, you know my business really intimately, and obviously I follow your system. So, Joel, I haven't talked about this or anything, but the stuff you teach in the Crush group, that's like literally what I do. People always ask, like, what's the secret sauce? There really isn't one. It's just the entirely relational. That's my entire approach. Go deep with people, go deeper with less, get all of the business from less people. Don't be spread so far across. You don't want to do 50 loans with 50 people. You want to do 50 loans with 7 people or 8 people. So to the extent that you're able to go deeper with people and stop talking about the same things that every other loan officer is constantly talking about, make it about them as much as you possibly can. That'll deepen those relationships naturally. That's going to cause your pipeline to grow quite a bit. That's like literally it. I know it sounds almost too simple to be true, but there's no secret here. It's just do the work, be deeply relational.
Yeah, I always say if you haven't deepened an existing relationship to develop a new one today, by this time, even if you're on the East Coast, you failed for the day. And I don't care if you got 3 new contracts. You have failed for the day because you have done no biz dev basically for the whole day. And your job is to originate relationships, not originate loans. So you should be doing biz dev all day, every day. The whole concept, James, it's so interesting when I start working with newer people and I look at their loans and they're closing 20 loans and they're referred by 20 different people. And they just go, oh, this is normal. Like, this is how I do it. I'm like, it's not normal. It's not. You think it's normal because every other loan officer in your office, that's how they roll. Trust me, everyone, top producers do not roll like that, okay? And if they do, they have a massive team and their hair is on fire all day, every day.
And they're going to work twice as hard. They're going to work twice as hard doing that than as like a team who's got a deep relationship with, a handful of agents. Yep.
I might say, James, 3 times as hard, literally, because think about the call you have to make, right? You've made them. Hey, it's James. Hey, listen, we were supposed to, from the beginning, get a gift from Uncle Billy. So here's the deal. Uncle Billy was in crypto, so he's got a problem. So we're going to have to go to Aunt Minnie to get the money, but she doesn't have it all. So Aunt Minnie and Uncle Mickey are each going to give us half the money. Long story short, no way we're closing on time. Okay. We're going to need to move this settlement at least 3 days. Okay. And I'm sorry. And your agent partner goes, no problem, James. Let us, I'll call the listing agent. I'll take care of everything. We're good. As opposed to a nuclear explosion with the agent that you do 1 transaction with a year or 2 transactions a year, and they go completely sideways. They go sideways, by the way, everyone, because they don't trust you and they think you're shining them on and they think it's never going to close. Okay. But sorry.
That's exactly right. It's the trust. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. And so loan officers think, I love when loan officers go, oh man, I had such a bad day. I'm like, why was it a bad day? You have the greatest job in the history of the world. I mean, literally, you don't have to be anywhere, do anything. There's no time clock. You get paid. You're one of the highest paid sales people ever, like real estate agents, very highly paid, very highly paid. How could you have had a bad day? And when they tell me the reason they had a bad day, I go, man, you need an attitude adjustment. You didn't have a bad day. You just didn't handle some stuff. Your stuff is not handled. If your stuff is handled, you would not have a bad day. So, James, what are some things? First of all, how do you see the market in the fall where you are? Everyone's going, oh, now the recession is going to be the first quarter of 2023, and the rates are going to drop to 1% 30-year fixed. So there's a bunch of loan officers holding on for that, just spending their savings and praying. But where do you see it for the fall? How is your fall shaping up right now? What are the agents talking about? Just give us some intel, guys. I love talking to James because he's in a like a normal market. He's not a high-end luxury. He's not a super, super low-end all govies. He has a big mix of business. Connecticut is kind of like that, unless you're down near New York City. It's very much like that. So, James, what are you seeing right now?
Yeah, average loan size 240. It's like the most basic mix of business you could get. Applications are up. People are back from vacation. They're busy. I love Q3. I'm a huge fan of grinding through the summer and keeping those relationships moving, keeping those one-to-one, those B2B meetings that we talk about so often, regular, right through. When I come back from vacation, I actually challenge myself. I put out a word with my team to keep me accountable about how many meetings I want to be having per week right through the end of the summer. I expect we're going to have a huge Q3. Inventory is not a problem. Offers are getting accepted with ease right now. Our contracts are way up. I'm positive on all fronts, honestly. Rates are what they are. They're going to go up. They're going to go down. That's a part of the business. Be smart and intelligent. Make sure you have a float down or whatever. But, for the most part, just do your job.
So, you're talking about rates, and I love to bring this up for everyone because, James, there's a whole bunch of real estate agents and a whole bunch of loan officers that have never really seen the rates go up like this. I was just looking at a chart, and if you got into business in 2004, all you've pretty much seen is the rates going down, except for little blips here and there. And, I know there's a lot of people that like to prognosticate about the rates and the market and all that stuff. And, you all have heard this from me before. We don't control the rates. And if we did, no one on this call would even be here. We'd all be bond traders sitting in a bar in Monaco right now, ordering a very expensive cocktail. Because if you knew what the rates were going to do, well, you would trade bonds and you'd be a trillionaire. Okay. But nobody really does. All right. So to intimate to your agent partners or even borrowers that what rates are going to do is what could get you in a lot of trouble. And especially in a market like this, when rates can move really, 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 really fast. I want to put this out there one more time. I've been talking about this. I would hope everyone is done. If you have not gone back through all of your pre-quals in the past, call it 4 months, and checked them, redocked them, and requalified using the prevailing rate for today, you could be in a world of hurt if you have an agent partner that has someone that's been floating around out there that got super frustrated because they made a bazillion offers. Now there's lots of inventory and they make an offer, they get it accepted, and you are the bearer of the nastiest news in the history of the world. Not only maybe are they not qualified, hopefully they're still qualified, but their payment's X amount higher and the borrower literally throws a rod. Okay. And the agent, rightly so, has every right to be mad at you for that. They gave us that referral. It is our job to manage it at that point from a loan perspective. So if you haven't gone back, and listen, James is nodding. James took 140 pre-quals or something last month. I don't know. So he's got a lot of people running around out there, but he's really got to keep an eye on it. So those of you that have 20 people, you have no excuse not to have this done, or 30 people. And one more thing about inventory. 5 million people, everyone, 5 million. Let's take 20% off for cash, even though I think that market went away a little bit. 4 million people right now while we're on this call are literally looking to buy a house. 4 million people. You all are in a great business. Hey, James, Sean Gaudreau is asking, you don't have to answer the second one. Because that's different. Sean knows better on that one. That's Platoon. That's different. James, how many company partners do you have?
About? I don't know. I'd have to look at the list. Probably 30 total company.
Okay. And Platoon, like 3?
Yeah.
2, 3? Okay.
Two to three. 2 to 3. Yeah.
Okay. And Sean was asking partners. Now, those of you that haven't been through one of my programs, we separated bag and tag people very differently based on our relationship with them, not how many loans they refer us. That is not how we look at things like that. So, Sean, that actually makes complete sense if I'm doing the math based on his volume. Like he's got to be right on there because I know what his unit volume is. Okay. So everyone, I don't care that it's July 25th or whatever. I mean, I just literally don't care. Your pedal should be to the metal right now. Your foot should be glued to the gas. There should be no backing off. Okay. None of this going dark, turning your phone off. If you do that, you are asking for it. Okay. Lenders and loan officers have gotten better through every refi market. If you think you're going to wait around for another refi market to survive, you're toast. There's a lot of loan officers on here that missed out on 100 refinances that they will miss out on next time. And if you got 10 of those, that's 10 you're not going to have. Okay. They're going to have it, or the servicer's going to have it, or someone else is going to have it but you. Okay. The only constant in this business is purchase money loans. Okay. The only constant is people buying and selling houses. Period. That's it. James, any sort of closing thoughts? It's 2:28. I hate to keep people that long as far as just getting after it. Grit.
Yeah. You want a nerdy pro tip for all the seller buy down guys on here? Justin brought it up, or you brought up Justin using it and that working. You want a little nerdy tip that'll help take it like up a notch?
Justin Drolleman, you want it?
Yeah,
he's nodding yes.
So most of you guys, the max points you can buy is 3. Sometimes you can get 4, get 1 omitted. If you contractually obligate the seller with contract language to pay for discount points instead of credit for them, they move to the seller's side of the closing disclosure. When you do that, they can buy 5, 6, 7, doesn't matter. They can buy the maximum points up to the maximum allowable concessions in that instance, and it won't fail QM, and it won't get jammed up in your Mavent fail or whatever. Little pro tip we learned where we can get the seller to buy far more than 3 points. So those of you who are doing point buy downs where you think you're stuck at 3 or sometimes 4 when you get 1 omission, use contract language to obligate the seller to pay for discount points, and any remaining balance is used as a credit for closing costs. When they pay for it, it moves to their side of the CD, gets omitted from APOR, doesn't go into your high cost loan balance. So that's a little pro tip we learned. We do tons of these. The buyers like literally think it's like a lie when they look at the financing. They can't even believe they're getting rates in the low 4s, and they're just thrilled about it. So we're winning tons of business with this right now.
All right. Thank you, James. That is awesome. That's a money, and they got to watch they got to listen to the whole thing to get that one. Held that one out to the end. So everybody, thank you for your time and your investment. Always thank you, James Allen, for your time. You're one of the busiest guys on this call. So I really appreciate getting a half hour of your time. Everyone, seriously, nose to the grindstone. There's no excuse not to be dominating right now. I mean, no excuse at all other than you are lazy, okay? There's no reason. And if you're a super experienced loan officer on this call and you really know how to structure loans and you know what you're doing, and there's tons of them on this call, I see them all, you should be dominating at the highest level possible. Because when you get someone on the phone, you're talking to an agent partner or you're talking to a borrower, man, you should sound so different than some other joker loan officer that's used to writing 30-year fixed loans and doesn't even realize how to sell different types of MI or LTVs to make it better for the buyer. So everyone, thank you so much. James Allen is all over social media. If you want to contact him, I probably shouldn't have said that. but if you want to reach out through Facebook, he's a great guy. He loves helping people, but he's probably not going to get back to you till later in the day or early in the morning because he's pretty hammered and has 3 little maniacs in his house. So everyone, thank you so much. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks. This will be on Apple Today podcast. Thank you.
Thanks, Joel.